Today's agenda is my mouse here, down here, is the following. I will show you what has been changed, what's really new. Maybe some of you don't know about it at all, and that's what I want to show you, and all the new possibilities in a demo. So first of all, what is changing in general is the action builder and the expression builder. So here on the right you see the action builder, and this one we really revamped and made a new version, a modern version with a lot of new possibilities, which I want to show you right afterwards. And also the expression builder, the one here, if you press the little FX to build your expression, your business logic inside an action or on a field or wherever. Those two were new, and we've updated those two last Friday. So if you open up your Solution Studio, a solution for the background features, you will see these new builders automatically. So they are automatically there. But for the UI features, you need to do the update manually. And yeah, we built this new action builder. Whoops, I'm sorry. So we built this new action builder to be backward compatible. So if you have an action builder like that, and after an update, you will see it like that. So that's the new one, and maybe you recognize a little bit Power Automate. Yeah, it looks similar. That's how we built it. It's not the same. It's not a workflow engine in the back end. It's still our action builder, but that's how it will look like. And all your actions, so the ones you had before, should be available just in the new action builder as well. And one thing to mention here, Internet Explorer, so really the old Internet Explorer is not supported anymore for this new feature. So please, if you don't do that already, please use Chrome, Edge, or the new Edge, Chromium, Edge, Firefox, Safari, or even a browser called Brave. It's also supported. Maybe some of you are using this one. Yeah. So that's the dialog for the new version. For these two, it's actually only the list actions and the modern forms which you need to update manually. And for the rest, it's automatically there if you open up Solution Studio. I will show you directly now. So if you have an old solution, so like this one, so you would already see the update dialog like every 2 weeks actually, and then you see this, it should be version 1.1.0, and I didn't do that now for that solution. That's why I can still see the old action builder here. After I will do the update, I will see the new one. Now if I open up the background features, maybe where do I have something? Here we already have the new action builder integrated. So if you add a new triggered action, let's do it just here. You see we already have the new action builder already without the update. So let's go back, and yeah, so just go ahead, make the update to see it also in modern forms and list actions. Good. So the new possibilities, that's just the list. I will really, I want to show you directly in the demo as well. So it's about the action builder and the expression builder. We have added some search possibilities, new controls, variables. We can export, import actions, copy it very easily, and other usability features. And also the expression builder in general, IntelliSense, to access variables and other outputs from the previous actions. So let me directly show you those things in a demo. So I will go to another solution which is already updated. So you don't need to wait for the update until it's finished. So it's the same solution here, and if I open up, for example, the command bar, then let's, for example, do a new one. And if we open up the action builder, then we have an empty screen where we have the main area here in the middle, and we always see the available actions here on the left side. You can easily search for them, like let me use an add list item. It simply filters the whole list, and now you have two options. You can either drag and drop the action where you want to add it, or simply double click and it's added as well. So that's how to add actions. So if you want to have 5 add actions, simply double click them 5 times, so it's very, very easy. We've also added a couple of new controls, like we have now a condition control, a loop control. I will make an example for them just later on. We have the set variable. So if you define a variable, you can also set those variables. It's very similar to Power Automate, if you know that already. Some new stuff is the move document and the get items. And get items is very, very helpful in the combination with the loop. I will show you as well just now. We have a variable editor where you can add variables like var1, and then you can either initialize it directly here, or you can use this variable action to specify the variable later on. So now you can also set the variable using expression. And as soon as it's set, then of course you cannot change it anymore. So you see it's already used somewhere. And another very nice thing is that you can export and import actions. Now you can transform everything that you've configured, for example, from a button from the form to a list action. So if you want to have the same action on a list action, then you can simply export those. It will generate a JSON file for you, really a simple readable JSON file like this. Looks like this. That's the JSON definition. So very easy to change some things and just import it again somewhere else. I will also do a demo about this. And then maybe the copy is also very easy. We have a copy here to copy an action, and as soon as you copy, let me define something here. If I copy that action, you would see that action over here. It's always at the very top in the category clipboard, and now you can reuse that action, and it's added with the exact same configuration once again. And one thing let me see if I forgot to show you. Let me remove that again. So first time you open up the action builder, you are asked, at least in Chrome and in some other browsers, you are asked to allow it's the same if you want to use the camera or your audio. The browser will ask you if the browser is allowed to do that. And in this case, we've added this new possibility that we can copy that action into the clipboard. And now the browser asks you if he's allowed to access the clipboard. If you say block, then you cannot use the action, the copied action, somewhere else. You can use it in the same action builder, but not in another place. But if you say allow, that's only this one. You can always remove it, like I did before. You will see it here on the top. This one is continue allowing. If you don't want to have that in the future, you simply go to manage and you remove the URL you just allowed. But it's really nice if you allow it, because then you see now here I have the set variable, and if I close my action builder, I go somewhere completely different, let's say in the list actions, and I will open up the action builder again. Here we see the same action is available also here, so you can easily, yeah, of course I don't have that variable, but for other actions it makes definitely sense. And you can really copy not just this one action, you can copy whole condition controls. So that's the one here where you have this block of actions. You have a condition, yes, no, and the whole block you could copy as well, and it would copy the condition control and all the configured actions inside. And yeah, with this you can copy it really from one action builder to another one. It's just limited to one action. So let me simply go back. It's here. Now let me open up this one. It's one which already has some configuration, and yeah, something, for example, this one. Another thing how to copy an action is to simply use the control key. So if you drag it, and you can, that's also the way how to reorder them, you can simply drag it and put it somewhere else, like here or here, or you press the control key and you see this little plus icon and you release the mouse and you have a complete copy of that action. So that's the second possibility how to copy an action. Yeah, and then some very small things like usability features is you can enable and disable one single action. So for testing purposes, if you don't want to delete it, but you want to test something out, you simply say disable and it's not executed anymore. Yeah, and it's also not checking if it's really filled out like this one. This is required. If I want to save, it would tell me, oh, you cannot save, but disabled actions are not checked. So it's also good. You don't need to configure it completely. You can just disable it. Actions you can also very easily rename just by double click, and then you can type in something else, or you can give it a note. So here on the 3 points, the ellipses, you can add a note to it, and the note is just shown below like this. So because the action builder will always open up with all the actions collapsed, so you always need to click on them to see the editor. And if they are collapsed, then it can be very helpful if you have some notes on the action as well. Here we have one example where in the past we had two actions and we had to add a condition. So let's say here, and that's where you see where you have a condition. Before you had to add a condition to every single action. And let's say you had like 6 actions and 5 of them had to execute under one condition, and if it was the other case, then the other one had to execute. So we always had to add the conditions to all the 6 actions that they're not executed. And now with the latest update, with the new action builder, you can still add a condition to each action here. It's just a bit it's under these 3 dots. You find still the condition, and if you had a condition already, you will see it by this icon here. So simply click and the expression builder will open up. So I will come back to the expression builder later. So we have here the expression, if the manager has an email, then send the email. If there is no email, that's the other one, then show a message. So then we show, hey, there was no email and no email address is defined. And now with the new action builder, it would be easier to use condition control and simply grab that one here and add this here. So if there's, maybe if we say if it's not empty, so if there is an email address, then we drag the action in here, otherwise this one. And of course now we can also remove the expression on the single action because it's not needed anymore, and you can add more action than one just on one single condition. So that's how it would look like. And here, just for example, here it would make sense to add a note about the condition. Manager has email or so. So if it's collapsed, you would see, okay, what this condition is about. Of course, you can also rename the condition, but if you want to add a long text, it's also the internal name of the control is the name, and if you add the long text here, then the internal name is very long as well. So the note is, in that case, is probably better. So coming to the export-import possibility is the following. If I would export all those actions, I think we are now on the submit button. Yes, submit. And let's say I want to have the exact same actions like here. I want to have on the list actions. I simply go to export actions, which gives me a JSON. For now, I will cancel. I will go to list actions. I will say new submit. Add a play icon, play. Like this. It's it can be done for all the icons. I also need to copy the visible expression I have on the command action as well, command bar action. But here in the action builder, simply click import, choose the JSON file, and all my actions are here again. Maybe, of course, some changes are needed depending on where you import it. Not all actions are available in every place. That's another little thing to show is that we have added info icons everywhere on every action and also up here. And that's where we've directly linked our introduction article. So if you open up that one, you come to this action builder introduction page where you have really documentation about the whole action builder, you have a list of all actions, where they are available. You see, for example, in the backgrounds, we only have a few. We do have some more than before, but still not the same amount as on forms, of course. And also list actions, some of them like redirect to tab or close form, they don't make sense for list actions. So you have a list of all the actions here where they're available. It's all described again, what I will show you today on this page. And we've also added for each, let me see, for example, for upload document. So every action has an article in the background where the action is described, and also the properties which are there to define, and we do have output values. For some actions we do have output values. That's also explained here under action outputs. You see the list of all actions for now which have an output, and this output is then accessible in the action builder, and that's what I would like to show you here back in the action builder. And yet the action itself is directly linked here as well, so to the action article. So coming to the expression builder gives me also a lot of new possibilities. So let me say here, doesn't matter where in the background, here on the calculated columns in the background, everywhere we have implemented the new action expression builder. And if we open up the expression builder, main thing what you can see is that we now have a very easy search. So before you had to scroll and search for the fields and for everything in here, and now it's so much easier. It doesn't matter what, you can simply use the search up here, status, status, and it will filter the whole list. And yeah, doesn't matter in which category. If it's, let's say you want to have the manager, that's something you might use before, user, profile, and then manager. Now it's a lot easier. If you open up, you can simply type in manager, and it's directly filtered, and you can whether double click, let's say here the email, or you can also use drag and drop. Yes, here. So you can use drag and drop, or even easier, if you know what you're looking for, we've added IntelliSense to that builder. And if you just type in, you start to type, it will give you the proposals like manager. Yeah, in this case, I do have a field also called manager. That's the one here. Or down here, you see user profile manager. You simply type in manage, enter, and you have it already. And that's for everything in here. You can simply use IntelliSense, even for JavaScript. So let's say, but it depends on the type here. That's still the same. So if you have an assignment, you can, for example, type JSON dot, and then you see stringify and so on. So if you're a developer, you can also use these JavaScript stuff using IntelliSense. Also here we have linked our article about this expression builder, which explains everything about the expression builder, the new stuff, and so on. Yeah. So what I would like to show you here is the new possibility of, let's say we have, we go back to the display form. On the display form, I have sublists and I have actions. So if I go to the submit action once again, and let's say down here, we also define a variable, just to show you variable 1. So if I now add, doesn't matter, for now I just take the script, execute script, and I open up the expression builder. You see, by default, we have everything here, but you also can filter it down here. But we have the fields. Yeah, what's also new is you see now the type, the field type. Sometimes this can help if you know, okay, created, I mean, that's a default column, but if you know that employee is a user, a people picker field and not just a text field. In the old builder, you didn't know. So you always had to check, or maybe you know what type it is, but now you can see it with this icon, what type it will be. So that's a choice field, that's a number field, and so on. So that's also much easier to recognize. And down here you see now we have added, sublist was there before, so you're able to access the sublist stuff. Now we also added variables. You see the variable 1 I just added is available here. But you can also, like before, you can just start a variable and you will see variables just on top. If you have like 5 of them, you just simply select the one, enter, and you got it. And then the same is for actions. We now see the previous actions that were executed, which have an output value to access. So for example, the add list item, you can automatically, so you can add a list item to another list, and then afterwards in a following action, you can access the item ID, for example, from that action. Or if you update a list item, that's the same. And for some other actions, you have different output values. Let's have a look at one example I have prepared, and that's here. The idea behind this one is a loop. So the loop is really helpful in a lot of cases, and the one I want to show you here is it's actually, it's in German, but still I can tell you what it is. It's an offering a system where you can create an offer to a customer or to whoever. We can add a new offer. We can choose the customer and some stuff, and here we choose some special, that's an audit system, and they always offer to audit based on a norm, ISO 9001, 14001, and so on, and they have some standard positions to offer. And now the implementation is, you can rather say, no, I want to add my own positions, so just the sublist and add your own positions, or you say, no, I want to take them from the templates. And in the background, we have a template list, position templates, that's the one here. And each position is assigned to an audit type. So they offer different audits, and for each audit type, we have some templates. And if we go back to the offer, now the case is if I add a new offer, let's say, okay, it's a skybow, and it's these two for this norm, and now I say yes for these, I want to create them automatically. Now what it's doing, when I press save, it gets all the template positions and for that specific type, or these two types even, and add them as a sub list item. So that's the dossier. I have now saved the main item. I've created a sub item, a copy for each one in the template list, and attached it to this dossier. Before that was not really possible with the old action builder. Now it's so easy, or it's really a lot easier. I can show you. It's on the new form where we have this yes/no flag or the list, depending on what you choose. I just have on the save button. I have added. Oops. I save the form like saving the main offer, and then I have a condition. That's the little flag. Do you want to use the templates or not? If you don't use the templates, do nothing. But if you say I want to use the templates, then it's using the get list item or the get items action, which is quite easy to configure. It's just you select the list from where you want to get the items from. Then you add the query, how to which items you want to get, and then that was a test. For me, you see, it's just disabled. I tried to lock something, so the items, and then I added a loop. And now in the loop, that's exactly one of the combinations you can do. You get the items and then you loop over them simply by accessing the action output from the previous action. So we have this get positions, and this has an output items, and that's exactly what you see here. And now if you work with it a lot, you would directly know I want to access items, check, and you already have it. So very simple. So you simply access the items array, and this loop is even more powerful because you can not only access or loop through the result of get items, you can loop through a multi-lookup, a multi-choice, an array maybe defined in a variable, or just any array you can simply loop on. And then inside, because the loop is also like a container, inside you can do for each item that is returned here, in my case, I simply say add list item. And inside, I can then access, let me see which one is easy to explain, this one. Now we do have another action, the loop action, because we want to access the current item inside the loop. So for each item that is returned, I add an item and I access the current item, which will give me an object where I can then simply access all the fields. So this Menge, this is the internal field name of one of the fields in the current item, or in this offer templates list. So very simple. You get items and then you loop over them, and the connection here is I need to set the lookup from the sub item to the main one, and that's also quite easy because I can access from the save form. That's the first action I will do here. This one, I simply grab the item ID. So that's the new item ID of the offer that I've added, and that's then the connection that it was done. So looping over items is really giving me a lot more possibilities, and I can do anything for all the items in here. And I have one last example about looping on user people picker fields, for example, and that's the one here. So in this demo, what I'm doing, I can show you, that's something to set permissions. So I can add an item that's really just a test one. I can say builder v2 demo. Here I have two scenarios. One is a single people picker field and a multi people picker field. So I can say, okay, John, is full control, and read is Christoph, and who else I have? Sebastian I have. So let's take these, or even more. And now, if I hit save, we used the background triggered action to set the permissions. And here, that's the triggered action on that list. It's triggering on both if you add or update. And then, the logic in here is really first, if it's on updating, maybe it's already broken, so we inherit the permissions first. So that's all done with the REST call. So out of the box, SharePoint REST calls, we can set reset role inheritance. That's the standard API from SharePoint. Then we remove the permissions. So we inherit them if they were broken. We remove, like here, broke role inheritance. And then we start adding the permissions. So first of all, I'm adding the permissions for the author itself. That's just one example where I access the, here it's as well, role assignment, add role assignment, and then you see the author.id, and the role ID is always the same. It's this one is, I guess, contribute. But it's a list you can Google. It's always the same. And afterwards, I'm setting the same for the full control, which also looks pretty much the same. Main difference is here. That's the people picker. I can simply grab the ID. But on a multi-people picker, I cannot do that. On a multi-people picker, I cannot say .id because for each call here, add role assignment, you can just add one single ID and not more. So therefore, we can use a loop. So my loop down here is simply looping over that people picker field, and that's just people picker field itself, nothing else. Read uses, that's my internal name, and that's the loop. And inside, I have another call to this, similar to this one. Main difference in here, I need to get this one here, so I can access the loop applied to each. That's my action name. And here, down here, loop, I can also access the current item, and in there's a user ID. So a picker field is always having a user ID that I can pass. And what I did here, for the ones who don't know this possibility, is inside a string I can always use an outer double bracket with an equal sign. And so these brackets are from here to here, and everything inside these brackets with the equal sign is a simple assignment expression. So yeah, that's how I did it here. So you can loop very easily over a people picker field, and now simply go and let me check now this one here. Where is manage access? So we have John is the owner, right? Then Michael, Sebastian, and Christoph are readers, and I'm contributor. So you see it also in the backend that it's automatically added to the item. It can take some seconds because it's triggered actions are executed after a couple of seconds, not on save. And the same would probably not work on the form, on the save button, because the save button is executed in the client context or in the user context, and normally, yeah, a normal user don't have permissions to set permissions to auto permissions. So that's why we do it in the backend, because this is running with higher privileges. So yes, that's it for here. So we saw the search, the new controls, condition, etc. Variables, export, import, how to copy it, rename, disable, and add a note, IntelliSense, search placeholders, how to access outputs and variables. Good. So then demo we did. Any questions or feedback? I saw already some questions Christoph answered in the chat. Thanks a lot. I didn't read them, but maybe is there something open to clarify?
No, not especially. So it's all answered, I would say.
Okay. Maybe was there a question about classic forms as well? So I didn't mention it's really just for the modern stuff. So if you have rich forms or action links, so the classic version, they still have the classic editor. So it's not implemented for those. Yeah, and also add-ins, we have these separate add-ins. They will be updated the next days, weeks. Right now it's only released in Solution Studio. And yeah, something else? Yeah, otherwise you can of course always get back to us, do the update, try it out if it all works for you. Especially on the existing solutions, you should, yeah, we tested it on several. It's really, it shows the new action builder with all the previously configured actions in there.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I just wonder one thing though, is to get it really pushing forward a bit. Is it possible to package a lot of API calls that you can create actions from it instead of putting in all the code? I guess that would help maybe more low-code people to create powerful stuff as well.
You mean this one? The one with the setting permissions?
Yeah, where you have the REST calls.
Yeah.
If you have a possibility to maybe package them and query them by parameters instead.
Yeah. We had this idea as well that because for now we have, you can, with this action type HTTP request, you can of course just call the whole API, but you need to know how it works. That's true. But to make a specific action, for example, for inherit permissions, break permissions, so that is just an action type, you drag it in. This one is there already, the URL, you just need to provide the parameters. That would make it easier for people who don't know these calls to configure them. Yeah, that's a good idea, and we were already thinking about it. But anyway, in the future we will extend the list of actions. Now it's also much easier to have a long list of actions. Before, with this drop down, it was always difficult to say, okay, you have 50 actions in one drop down. You were not able to access them.
I also had a question in the chat to Christoph about creating your own actions, so you can apply
also,
them.
Yeah, it's not yet implemented, but it's on the roadmap to have custom action possibilities. Yeah.
Mm.
Like,
That's, in that case, you maybe can package an API calls and create an action of it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it looks very good. So I'm really positive.
cool. Thanks for the feedback. Good.
Will this outrun Power Automate?
No, I mean, it's there are always cases where you still. Our goal is to do more. What can be done from within SharePoint to do in here. So not needing and Power Automate for doing stuff within SharePoint. So you go outside, do stuff, and come back. So you can do all in here. But there are definitely cases where you need to combine it, where you if you have a trigger outside or so, that's always of course not possible here. So you would need to use a flow, and you can still also with this one here, you can also trigger a flow, because the flows, they do have this HTTP trigger. You can also use that one. I think I have that one somewhere here.
Oh,
so you can combine it, and we do that as well. So it's really just to give you more possibilities. For example, here, trigger a flow, this one. It's the flow you can configure with an HTTP request, HTTP trigger action. It will give you a URL, and this URL you need to pass in here, and then you can call the flow. You can even pass values to the flow dynamically, doing a JSON, and but to really reduce the need of creating flows for a lot of scenarios. Or also reduce the execute script, because before all these loops and stuff you had to do with a script, and now it's much easier.
Great.
Good. Thanks.
I like it, Matthias.
Thanks. Thanks to the team. I mean, it's their work.
But you showing it. Okay.
Great. So if there are any other questions afterwards, as always, just get back to us. And otherwise, we close here for today.